Welcome to the UK Fantasy Football Show, Goal's weekly podcast that discusses many a football fan's favourite pastime. This week we'll be reacting to the come down after the high that was Game Week 1, giving each of our FPL ones to watch, doing 1 week wonders with our guest and goal journalist Amee Ruzskai, and revealing our teams for Game Week 3. But first up, the standings. It was a difficult week for all three of us, but Sam, I believe you had the most extreme reaction to Game Week 2, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. I think I've messaged Miles and Dave with 3 words, which were just shite. I thought I'd catch a break. I thought I'd geared my team up to succeed, and last week I was 10% above average. This week I was actually exactly 10% below average. So I'm just languishing in purgatory. I've got like the pH 7 of teams at the moment. I'm nothing.
How many points did you get this week?
37.
37, which was better than Dave.
Yeah,
well, it was. And the way I'm sort of picturing in my head that I'm on the way up is that if Game Week 1 I finished last out of the 3 of us, Game Week 2 I finished second out of the 3 of us.
It's progress.
So I'm improving. I believe you're improving as well, Miles. You went from second amongst us to the best out of us.
Yeah, slightly.
So we're both improving.
We are.
We're on the way up.
There's only...
Well, there was only one way I could go. We said this last week. I was only ever going to go down.
But just in between the 3 of us, you were rock bottom.
From the highs of 100.
It was a tough week.
You got 103 points in Game Week 1. Dave got 34 points in Game Week 2.
Is that it?
That's it.
We were all very mediocre. The average for the week was 41. So I was the only one to get above average. I got 45. But I took a -4 hit from doing 2 transfers. So I ended up getting the average in the end anyway. Sam, was there a moment for you where you realised I need to make the wild card here? I need to tear up my team?
It was when Marcus Rashford passed the ball to Paul Pogba and went, "You take it, mate." I was rubbing my hands with glee as that was all happening. I was like, I've got Pogba's assist, I've got Rashford's goal. Watch out, Dave, I'm coming for you. And then Pogba got 0 this week.
I love that moment.
I'm looking forward to seeing the changes in your team later on this podcast.
He got the same as Ross Barkley, and Ross Barkley didn't even play.
So
another one you bigged up massively. Who's disappointing, yeah. But that Pogba, that penalty save was as good as a goal for me.
Oh, it was so
I
fun.
got up and celebrated.
I know.
We were straight on the chat.
So the standings after 2 weeks for us, Dave's on 137 points. I'm on 129 points. Sam is on 109 points. Amee, how are you doing in the usual game?
First week was all right.
Yeah.
I think I got 83 first week.
Oh, that's
which wasn't
all right.
a bad.
Better than Sam.
This week, not so good. I can't remember how many I got. It was like low 30s.
Okay, similar to us then.
Yeah, but it wasn't a great week.
Was it less than my score? Is that why you're not saying?
I can't
When you say
remember.
low 30s, was it 30? Because that makes a bit of difference in the room right now.
I mean,
Absolutely,
I will look, but I captained Salah, who didn't do anything.
Same mistake as Sam there.
Yeah. And, I've been staying loyal to Salah.
For 2 games.
Yeah, for 2 games.
There's a lot of
Bastion of
loyalty
friendship.
around it.
I mean, no, as in like me and Dave were talking this morning about whether I was going to transfer him out, but I'm not. I'm not going to transfer him out for Man. Did I get 40 last week?
There you go.
Oh,
God, I wish I hadn't mentioned
Better
that.
than you two.
That's great.
Just Dave.
Well, why did she say that?
I thought he had like
Your
30.
rope-a-dope.
It's because Matinho got an assist against Man United, so I think I had like 30.
He got the bonus points as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he got 8 points. He was my top scorer for the week. I had Danny Ings, who scored a great
Gifted a goal.
goal against Liverpool.
Let's not talk about that. either.
So yeah, I mean that's better than. I mean I didn't get any higher than 8 on any player, so I think that's why I looked at it and thought, I didn't do very well. Oh, great.
Just rubbing
I'm
it
quite
in.
happy
Just
now.
rubbing it in.
So
Glad you asked.
the top team last week in our public league was Obi-Wan Bissaka's, but he's been dethroned. He's down in 8th now. Now top of the league with 169 points is Salman Sanoon's Blue Army. He did play a wildcard after the first game week though, so you can only really take that punt once. He's now going to be stuck with the team that he's got. I get the feeling there are a lot of people who play fantasy football who just do all the bonus things they can right at the start of the season and then just lose interest.
Like Sam.
I'm still here, aren't I?
He's going to be triple captain it this week to make up the ground.
Have you wildcarded? You wildcarded already.
Just wait, Dave.
Oh,
Wait,
sorry,
it's
in the
sorry. I'm
pages.
sorry. I'm just.
Want to get to the end.
Yeah.
Listeners, you can join our public league and test yourself against us all season long. The code to type in on the FPL website is NHC4WZ. Let's move on then to FPL ones to watch. We picked out 3 players we believe are worth considering transfers for ahead of Game Week 3. We'll take turns running through each of them. This week then, let's start with Dave.
Oh, start with me.
Throwing you the ball.
So yeah, first up is the return of the prodigal son.
You captain
Son.
Sterling, haven't you? Oh.
Sterling's in there again. No. So yeah, Spurs play Newcastle. Son is back. So that would be a good option for anyone considering. Well, he's 9.5 million, so it's going to have to be a big call. You're going to have to take a big player out of your team, I'd imagine, to get him in. But maybe you've got some big players who are. I don't know. That was what I was thinking. And maybe they'll ease him back in. But then again, even if he brings him on the hour, I could imagine him doing something.
They are playing
Still.
Newcastle, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'll get that in there.
Yeah.
Newcastle away from home is not going to be a good result for them. Spurs at home, they're good at their new stadium. They have a good home record since they moved there, at least recently.
They do.
Wouldn't easing him back in be playing him against Newcastle?
Touche. You're going to fit in really well here, Amy. Yeah, 9.5 is a lot.
It is
I
a
couldn't
lot.
justify that at the moment.
I'm looking 2 game weeks ahead. I think I might go for him. I think they've got another easy home match in 2 game weeks' time. I think that'll be when he'll be settled back into that first team.
Peak Son.
Yeah, because you'll have to oust Lamella at the moment, who got did he get 2 assists at the weekend?
Yeah.
He's doing all right.
Yeah, so he got 159 points last season and scored over 150 points in the last 3 seasons of fantasy football. So
He's very
he is a
dependable.
good option, but maybe he's not ready yet. But he's certainly one
to
on the
watch.
horizon. Son on the horizon. How many? Got quite a few in there. It's like I prepared them. My second choice is, Amy alluded slightly to it just before, Mane. And I would be tempted to take Salah out and put Mane in.
Save $1 million.
Yep. And they've got Arsenal next. He's got a great record against Arsenal. He's scored 5 goals against them and 3 assists in 10 games against Arsenal. So, first of all, I don't fancy Arsenal.
Does that make any difference whatsoever in that, he's scored a few against a particular team in the past? Does that have any insight into how his performance will be at the weekend?
I always wonder this because I saw those stats doing the round. You see him every single weekend where people are like, X or Y has a great goal record against A or B.
So?
Exactly, yeah.
It's like Aguero against Newcastle, though. Is it?
Rooney against Newcastle used to be another one. Like Rooney always scored against
everybody
us,
used to do the rounds for Aguero against Newcastle and always scores.
Yeah, but if you've ever played football, you always there's some teams you always just score against. You just do.
Yeah.
I mean, I see it from a player's perspective as well because I'm a bit of an athlete myself. And sometimes you just turn up against.
That's throwing me off there.
Sometimes it's a good job it's a podcast. Sometimes you just turn up against certain teams and you know you're going to score. You must know that, Sam, because I know what you're
that's
like.
just me turning up on a football pitch thinking, no, I'm not going to score. I saw the similar stats knocking around. I think Salah was another one that was how well he's done against Arsenal.
It's not even just that. Liverpool at home against Arsenal have always done well. Well, in recent
that's a more
years.
legitimate argument.
Yeah. So Mane, I would imagine he looks pretty hot right now.
He does. I've stuck with Salah. I thought about Mane, but it's like flipping a coin, I think, between those two. And the way my coin flipping is going, I'd put Mane in and Salah would bag a couple. Either of them are going to bag a couple at any stage of any game in the season.
I think this is going to be Mane's year. He had such a good season last year, and I thought he was better than Salah for large periods. There were times when Salah did obviously, hit it big, but I thought as an overall season, Mane had the better of the two.
But not on fantasy's perspective, though, was it?
No, but
doesn't get the
he closed the
assists.
gap. And I think we've seen in the first 2 games of the season how much of a goal-scoring threat he is in the Super Cup as well, which is his comeback match. I just think he's in such a hot streak of form right now that I wouldn't say undervalued because 11.5 is still, I think it's the third most expensive on the game, isn't it? But, you know, it's still or joint third most expensive. But $1 million cheaper than Salah, and I think he's going to get just as many points. Personally,
I think the worry is injury. Because, I mean, how long did he have off after AFCON? Like,
couple of days.
Literally nothing.
Morning.
Yeah, literally. And I think it was it the Community Shield? Or I think it was Norwich. Klopp's subs, like, he didn't sub players on that, like, hadn't had, sub players off that hadn't had a break. Like, people were playing, like, 90 minutes, having had, like, no break.
They play intensive football as well, don't they?
Intense football, no break. I think that's the worry with Liverpool this year.
Potentially.
Like Salah as well.
They've been very lucky with injuries in recent seasons as well, haven't they? They haven't really taken any big hits in the way that Spurs always lose Kane for a couple of months every single year.
Yeah.
But I think it's a decent shout.
It's a great shout.
I would love to put Mane in, I just can't afford him. Without dropping Sterling, I won't drop.
Sticking loyal with Salah.
I might squeeze him in. I've almost convinced myself, but I'll see. I probably won't. Just because, like, the guy I'm looking, Kane potentially would have to come out, and just with the Newcastle factor, I still fancy Kane. He'll be looking at that game with glee, won't he?
Oh, yeah.
Thinking, this is my chance to get well underway.
I think if you've got Salah and you take him out and put Mane in, save $1 million, they're both going to do well all season, and then you have $1 million somewhere else.
It's more if you don't have either, I think. I've got neither. I would love one of them, and Mane is just the cheaper option, so I think I'd go for him. Yeah. Who's your third then, Dave? I believe it's a bit of an outside pick, this one.
Yeah, my third pick is Cantwell. Obviously, a lot of people will be going for Pukki, who's been on fire, raining in the shots, but you'll find that Cantwell has been part of the reason that Pukki's been doing so well. He's cheap. He's 4.6 million.
Oh, he's gone up one then. 0.1.
So you could be quite shrewd by getting him in. If you've got a low cost player, you can potentially swap him with. I think he will. They've got Chelsea next match, so it's a tough one. Chelsea haven't been great though yet, so potentially could get some points on the board there. He plays on the left side for Norwich. I think he's part of an attacking three really for them. So to me it seems like a good option. There's only one player in the Premier League that's created more chances than him so far this season, and that's Kevin De Bruyne. So when you look at how much Kevin De Bruyne costs and how much Cantwell costs,
he's half price.
Can buy 2 Cantwells.
And Norwich are playing the kind of football we expected them to play. I don't know how long they'll be able to keep it up for, because there'll be some games where they do get hammered.
I think they'll keep up that mentality the whole season, where they will, let's call it the Kevin Keegan mentality, where you just try and score more than the opposition.
Yep.
Which I know is actually the basis of football and the entire game as we know it. But I think it's a good shout.
Yeah.
For that cheap, I mean, if you're looking for a dirt cheap fifth midfielder, or you want even just a cheaper fourth one, I think that's a really good shout. And even after Chelsea, I think they have a couple of tasty fixtures.
Pretty easy run, I think.
Yeah, West Ham in fourth game week. They do have Man City in the fifth game week, which is going to be a tricky one. That'll be an interesting one. But they have Burnley after that, and then Crystal Palace after that. So
yeah, they look like an exciting team to watch.
Even if they're shipping goals, they're still going to go as they are. So you're still going to score points.
If he's your low cost midfielder, then that's pretty good. I probably wouldn't necessarily have him and Dendoncker. Dendonker's been in my team though, and I haven't got a lot of points out of him so far, so I feel a little bit disappointed.
He's only 4.5 mil though.
Yeah.
Low expectations.
Yeah. Tough taskmaster.
So they're your three.
Yep.
Sam, who are your three for this week?
I'll start with exactly where I started last week. Martial.
Deja vu.
I know, but I've taken the miraculous decision of actually putting him on my team for the next game week. I thought he looked really impressive against Wolves. Obviously, he scored. He's not taken a huge amount of shots, but his positioning for the goal he scored against Chelsea is a goal that you very, very rarely saw him score. One against Wolves was a wonderful ball from Rashford, but a great run again, and good Lord, what a finish. And I was actually really impressed by the way he held the ball up. Far better than Lukaku, who probably weighs about 40 to 50 kilos more, I think. He was strong, he was rolling defenders, he was Again, basically transitioning us from midfield to a serious attack really well. So I thought I'd better get him in. And I knew his price was going to rise as well because 2 games he's played as the number 9. If it looks like United get rid of Sanchez, then there's even more reason for him to be playing every single match, really. So he's in.
7.7 million. He's gone up 0.2 already.
I know, but I got him in at 7.6.
Ooh,
yeah.
Snuck in there. So that's the advantage of the early wildcard, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, Martial, all aboard it.
Yeah.
I think people would be crazy not to.
At this point, he's beat by 15% of FPL managers, which still seems quite low.
It does.
Considering he's starting in centre forward.
I think that by the time we record next week, I would say that will be 23.5%.
Once he bags a hat-trick against Palace.
No, I think just in terms of people doing their transfers
right.
late on a Friday.
But the hat-trick against Palace won't hurt.
That would be really helpful. And he's one, and Rashford as well, that I'm toying with captaining this week, just because it's Palace. And I could easily see one of them bagging a couple, and then, all aboard it. But I don't know if I'm that brave.
I was looking at him. I mean, you can't not look at Martial considering his record so far this season. But because I already have Rashford and my other transfer, which I'll come to later, is also a Man United player, I don't really want to have 3 Man United players in there at this point, even though they've got a decent run. And I still think that if you're going to pick between Rashford and Martial, I still would veer towards Rashford if you only want one of the two. He's still got more points than Martial, even though he's a striker and they get fewer points for goals. He's going to take penalties.
He should be, yeah.
Long term. I mean, they might continue with this, taking it into.
There's a very simple way for him and Pogba to sort this out, is that Pogba should take all the free kicks because Rashford seems to take them and it is dreadful.
He's the worst free kick taker I've ever seen. Ever. And I watch League 2 football on a regular basis.
Do you know who's the best free kick taker I've ever seen?
Go on.
Gary Pallister. He's taken one, slammed it in the bottom corner. And we beat Blackburn 3-1, 92-93 season. Last game at Old Trafford.
The best free kick taker I've ever seen is Mark Bridge Wilkinson.
Some real left field ones there.
Niche
ones, yeah. But definitely not Rashford.
Not Rashford.
No, not all.
Second, I've got Dani Ceballos. Great intro at the weekend. 2 assists. He was 5.5 mil, which for a more technically superior Aaron Ramsey is how I'm terming him.
Nice.
That's an absolute steal. When you've got Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe, assuming Pepe turns out to be decent, ahead of you, then I think we've got assists, and I think he will probably come up with a few decent goals as well. So for just over 5.5, again, great signing.
Yeah, and he seems to fit into, like, Emery plays him as an 8 or a 10, doesn't he? Well, he will over the course of the season, by the sound of it, from what Charles Watt was saying.
Yeah.
Our Arsenal correspondent. So I'd imagine even as he mixes things up, he'll still feature massively in that spine of the team.
He's the second most transferred in player in the FPL this game week.
I brought him in.
Who's the most transferred in?
Who do you reckon?
Sterling.
No.
De Bruyne.
No.
What? Martial.
No.
Rashford.
No.
Oh.
Who's got
Pukki.
loads of goals? There we go. Pukki. 800,000 people have put Pukki in this game week, which is double the amount that have put Ceballos in. It shows Pukki's popularity. But Ceballos, that's still an awful lot for... He made a real impression this game week, didn't he?
And then finally, keeping it in North London, Walker Peters.
Ooh. He's the cheapest Spurs defender, right? That plays.
Don't know,
Yeah.
if you say so. He has played both matches. If he's got that right back spot, Tottenham have got a good defence. You should be getting some clean sheet bonus points there. Obviously, to bring him in this week, he is playing Newcastle. Newcastle are playing, are generally, I think, pretty poor on the left. Hopefully Son will be coming back for at least some of the match to terrorise them, which should allow him to be further up the pitch. We've got a good chance of some attacking bonus points. Win, whichever way you look at it.
So when I was weighing up my transfer this game week, it was between him and the player I eventually picked at United. Because so Maitland-Niles got man of the match. Well, he should have got man of the match. He was the best player of the match against Newcastle in game week 1. And you're totally right. That Newcastle left flank is ripe for picking. and clean sheet potential definitely there.
Indeed. So if you just hold that spot down for the rest of the season, I think the only way is up.
Sweet. Amy, you want to go through your three?
Yeah. So I brought in Pukki. He's one of my ones to watch because last week I was toying with bringing him in and I didn't, and he scored a hat-trick. So I am not letting him sit out of my team anymore.
You can't deal with that
It's
regret.
that herd
No.
mentality affecting
It's
you, Amy.
just, yeah.
The bandwagon.
Sheeple, yeah.
So our Manchester United correspondent, Chris Vokes, he picked Pukki as his captain for this game week.
Oh, for God's sake.
Like the foresight there, I've got to admire that.
It is because it's just brave, isn't it?
Yeah,
You make
rather
those
than
decisions and they pay off.
You know, everyone went Sterling, Salah, maybe a Rashford. Not many went Pukki. So he reaped those rewards.
Clever, really.
Yeah. So they got Chelsea this game week, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, when we watched him against Liverpool, I watched a bit of him last season at Norwich, and he was just, I think he went on like this game streak when he was scoring for Finland as well in the Nations League. And it was like Norwich every week, 1-0 Pukki, 1-0 Pukki. Like, it's just always him. I remember my granddad said to me before the season, like, will he score 20 goals? I said, no, he'll probably get 15. So it's not like I've like jumped on the, bandwagon.
You were early on that bandwagon.
I said this to him. I can show you the text. So yeah, I mean, I actually, his price is going up as well. He's 6.7 now. So you kind of want to get him before it keeps going up because Norwich are not going to stop attacking.
Yeah.
As of the time recording, he's actually gone up now to 6.8.
Well, there you go.
So he's the fastest riser on the game. You know, 1 million people have him at this point that didn't have him at the start of the season.
And 6.8 is still really cheap
It is,
for a striker that plays for a team that just attack. Like, I think he'll get like 15 goals.
Yeah, the thing is with him, he's not afraid to shoot, and he does have a lot of shots. He's not one of these strikers who's had a few chances and he's taken them all. You know, maybe a bit of luck in there. He's actually shooting loads, and Norwich are creating loads of chances.
Yeah.
So it does seem like a sensible addition to any fantasy team at the moment.
And like they'll go for Chelsea. He's not going to lose any points.
I'd be a bit worried if I was Frank Lampard going into that game because the fans are going to hate it if they lose to Norwich.
You see how badly they were defending as well in the second half. Like Leicester's goal last week was
awful.
Oh, wow.
As soon as Leicester woke up in that game and started going at them a bit, looking a bit more threatening, the fear factor kicked in.
I'm waiting one more week for Pukki because I'm not convinced
It'll be 8 million by.
Well, it'll probably be 7 million at that point, and I've lost out on 0.5. But for me, I still think there's a potential that he's just had a great start to the season, but can he keep it up? And it's also the slightly tricky nature of the next 3 game weeks that they've got with Chelsea. I think it's West Ham after, a bit easier, obviously, but then City after that. I think if he comes through these first 5 and he's in the top few scorers in the game on the game, then he's definitely worth picking. I'm just holding 5 for now.
I think with international breaks coming as well, he is the main man for Finland. So I feel like he's not going to lose any momentum. He's got a really good record, actually, I believe, for Finland. He's, like I said, he scored loads last season for them. And yeah, I mean, he's not going to, go away on the international break and just kind of like stagnate. I think he's just going to be on fire.
Sweet. Who's your second pick then?
Ndombele at Spurs. I thought he's had a good start to the season. He's only, at time of recording, he was 6.1 the other day anyway. He's settling in well. He's got bonus points in both games so far. And I feel like he's just kind of, he's a physical presence. He's already scored as well. And they've got Newcastle of Spurs. So I think it's a bit more, I think as well it's a player that not a lot of people will pick. So you kind of get the edge if he gets those bonus points in.
Yeah, I mean, Ericsson is doing some quick maths here. 2.8 million more, has 3 points. Yeah. Whereas Ndombele, he's got 14 points, 8 points and 6 points in the first 2 game weeks. I recommended him as the potential star of the season in one of our earlier podcasts. But I didn't think he'd be an FPL star. I just thought he'd be a very impressive, potentially defensive-minded centre midfielder. Didn't see him getting this many points in FPL.
Yeah, I think the bonus points helps. He has been playing quite well. He's kind of the player that Spurs needed to bring a bit of a physical presence.
His goal against Aston Villa in the first game was fantastic as well, the way he took it.
Yeah. He lifted them in that game as well. You could see he was one of those players that just started getting on the ball and looking a bit more positive.
Yeah.
You do need, if you are struggling a little bit against a lower team, or I think Spurs have lacked that kind of character in their team.
He seems to have the right mentality. Like when he scored, he was almost embarrassed to have equalised against Villa, rather
he was
than
get the ball, let's go.
He wasn't bothered about my first Spurs goal. He was like, we're losing against this newly promoted team. Like, get the ball. Let's
Yeah, I like that.
Good mentality.
Yeah. And then last is Pascal Gross, who is back for Brighton. I picked him in the first season he was over here because I remember seeing his unbelievable stat he created. I remember it. 99 chances for Ingolstadt when they got relegated from the Bundesliga. And nobody created more. Like, he was like 20 ahead of anybody else in the whole Bundesliga.
If only they'd scored those chances,
Yeah.
they might have stayed up.
They'd have probably won the bloody league. But yeah, he scored really well in his first season at Brighton in FPL. Last season he struggled with injuries and didn't really play, but he's back now. Potter's got the attacking intent. He might not start every game, especially with them having bringing other players. But he got an assist against Watford. He got a bonus against West Ham, and this week they play Southampton, who look pretty poor.
Yeah, gifted a goal at the weekend.
Yeah.
The only reason they scored in that match.
Plus he's a midfielder, so your bonus points for clean sheets in there.
Yeah.
They've got a pretty sturdy defence, Brighton.
6.5 million.
Yeah.
Not bad. I think a lot of people heading into the season were wondering where he was going to fit into Potter's formation. But I think he changed it for that first match against, was it Watford? They beat 3-0 in the first game. And the way he's played 90 minutes in the first match, 66 minutes in the second match.
I really rate him. I think he's a great player.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Amy, for those three. So my three then. I've kind of shamelessly picked three players that are already in my team. I'm not sure if that's because I was too lazy to research it or not, but I actually do rate these players. I do think that they are people should watch. So the first one, probably the most obvious of the three, and probably the one people can't argue too much about of the three, which is Lucas Digne, the Everton fullback, who has been pretty fantastic so far. Everton are the only team so far that have kept 2 clean sheets that I can think of. Yeah, they're pretty sure they are.
Yeah.
They obviously were a bit frustrating in that first game week when they had a stalemate against Crystal Palace. I think people probably expected them to win that one, but they beat Watford in the second game week. Digne was one of the star players who was in the dream team for game week 2. He got 11 points for me. He's my star player. Made me feel a bit better about not having the likes of Mane or Pukki. There is a bit of doubt over whether he'll start this weekend because he got a bit of a knock in that game week 2 match. But if you look, I mean, he's back in training. I think that he will start. If he doesn't, Baines will come in, but I think he will start. And for the price that he costs, which is 6 million, the amount that he attacks, and you look at who he's up against in terms of that sort of price bracket, he got more points than Kyle Walker last season. He got more points than Ricardo Pereira, more than Matt Doherty. I think that with the run that they currently have, with like Villa this weekend on Friday night, Wolves after that, Bournemouth, Sheffield United, I think he can get some clean sheets. And
That's quite tidy, that, isn't it?
yeah,
It's good. I mean, it's a good option with Everton kept more clean sheets in the second half of last season than Liverpool did.
Yeah.
They've started this season exactly the same.
exactly. Yeah.
An Everton defender for me is almost a must-have. And you're looking at Liverpool as well at the moment, aren't as watertight as you'd like them to be, especially since the Alisson injury. So
Exactly, yeah.
you could potentially lose a Liverpool defender, especially if you've got 2 Liverpool defenders in defence.
Yep.
You might want to swap one out.
Definitely. Liverpool have conceded more shots than Watford.
Really?
They've changed
Really?
their tactics.
Yeah.
They've totally changed them, haven't they?
They're playing like try to play offside now,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Yeah, which is, I mean, it might take them a while to get used to it, and it might eventually be better. But they had such a good system last year.
They were awful in pre-season as well, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what is quite going on there, but it does make those premium Liverpool defenders like Alexander-Arnold Robertson a lot less appealing when they're playing those tactics. And then you look at much cheaper alternatives across Merseyside, like Digne, who I think people should gravitate towards. So I'd highly recommend him if you're looking for an Everton defender. My second one is Wilfred Burley. He's another player. He's come through a tough 2 fixtures, Wolves. So they had Leicester first game, which I believe was 0-0.
Yeah.
And then they drew 1-1 with Man United. To only concede 1 goal out of those 2 games, I think is pretty good. Wolves' defence overall has always looked quite tidy, unless they're playing against Huddersfield. I know they didn't exactly shine in those matches last season. But they have a lot easier fixtures coming up in the next few games. Next up, they have Burnley. which I think is pretty winnable. I think they've got them at home, and then Everton away after that. There's definitely some clean sheet potential there. Bowley gets the odd goal as well, goes up for corners. I noticed he almost got an assist against Man United if his sort of ricochet had gone to the right player and he put it away. But I think that if you're looking for 5 million, he's quite cheap.
Is that all he is?
Yeah.
That's pretty decent, that.
Yeah. I mean, I've contemplated dropping a lot of my players in my team at this point because you just do at the start of the season in FPL. You just want to tear it up like you've done, Sam, when you're not doing too well. But Bowley's one of the few that I haven't, thought of dropping. And I think that he'll be a good choice. You're looking for a cheap defender.
I picked him last year so my friend was picking her fantasy team, and she was like, "Oh, help me." And I picked Bowley for her, not for me. And the first few weeks of last season, I think he scored like a couple of goals. Wolves kept clean sheets for fun, and I was like, she was top of the league. I was like,
where's my credit?
Why have I not picked him? Why have I picked him for you? And he was, I think he was even cheaper than 5 mil last year.
Yeah.
He'd just been promoted.
Him and Johnny last year.
Yeah.
Were my faves.
That's the thing. That Johnny is 5.5 and Matt Doherty's 6. So they're a lot more expensive than a player who I know they're attacking fullbacks in the way they play. They probably will get more assists than Bowley, but Bowley's got that goal threat. I'd choose him, and just the cheap option of it makes it, I think, a good call. And Wolves don't look like one season wonders. That's the thing as well. I thought they were very impressive against United, and I can see him having a good season. My third player, I kind of ummed and ahed a little bit about this one because he's hardly lit up the first 2 game weeks, but I've gone with Yuri Tielemans. Who I reckon
controversial.
Yeah,
I was waiting for some controversy.
Yeah,
how are you going to talk your way out of this one?
With difficulty, because he has not had a great first 2 game weeks. I was looking at what Leicester fans were thinking of the first 2 matches of like player ratings and stuff before this, doing a bit of digging, seeing how stupid of a pick this actually was. And they were saying he looks quite good defensively. So I appreciate that, I'm not strengthening my argument too much here. But I just think that the Leicester's first 2 fixtures are quite tricky. He probably did have more defensive duties against 2 teams which are, top 7, top 8 threats. I think that he'll have a lot more freedom in some of the easier fixtures, which they have coming up. So they have the first easy fixture this weekend against Sheffield United, who haven't, disgraced themselves. They've been decent so far.
All right, haven't they?
Beat Palace in the second game of the season. But it's a lot more of a winnable fixture. And he's their £40 million signing, record signing, Leicester's. He was quite impressive in the second half of last season on loan. I can see him coming back into some good attacking form.
He's got the space to exploit against Sheffield United, I think, as well, with their overlapping centre backs. He's going to play through balls for fun.
Is he actually going to do anything with the ball though? Because against Chelsea, every time he touched it, he just seemed to be.
He nearly scored
it
at the end.
Away. Yeah, he did. Leicester themselves kind of came into the game a bit, but when I watched the whole game. And I was watching him thinking, I've got to take this guy out of my fantasy team. He didn't look like a player at all.
Do you know who I'm glad you didn't say from a Leicester perspective is Perez. Because I was never a fan of him when everyone at the start of the season or in pre-season were going, "Oh, you've got to get him in. He's he's playing up front and now he's listed as a midfield. He's brilliant. He's only 6.5. It's because he's shy."
I don't understand that signing. At all.
No.
It just seems a really weird signing.
It's like they only watched him in the last 10 games of last season. That was their scouting report. Oh, he's fantastic, this player. He's scoring all these goals. Well, you watch him the first 30 games of the season.
He's desperate to leave Newcastle.
Yeah.
Rodgers' signings aren't usually. He's very hit and miss, isn't he, with his signings?
The only player in that Leicester team I thought was all right, especially in that match, was Maddison. I still thought they did a good job of keeping him very close to the touchline, away from the goal. But I feel like and obviously he takes free kicks and he tends to score from them as well. So I feel like he's still a decent pick. But Tielemans, I'm losing faith. The only thing that's keeping him in my team at the moment is the fact that Leicester have got some all right fixtures coming up, haven't they?
Yeah, they got Sheffield United this week. They have Bournemouth at home. After that, they have the comfortable fixture of Manchester United. Some
watch out.
I think at that point we'll start to see if Man United are actually the threat that they're potentially looking like.
Do you remember halfway through when we started these, we did the predictions, and I said Man United to finish 3rd. Where are they now?
And I said they were going to be flops.
Where are they now?
Is that where you still think they're going to finish? To be fair, I thought they looked a little bit like United of old. They had so much more energy than we've seen them have previous seasons.
Yeah.
They looked quite exciting, I have to admit.
The second half of that game was what I expected to see in Man United this season. So I'm interested if that second half continues or if we see more like we did in the first half.
Do you mean second half as a whole, or the 15 minutes at the beginning where we almost threw away the entire match?
I probably mean that 15 minutes more than anything. And then, I'm also including in that the Pogba penalty miss, which I expected to see a lot of that sort of thing this season. A bit of, carnage in terms of organisation of who's doing what and why.
They're not a football club, they're an entertainment business now, aren't they? Keeping the world entertained. This is all Woodward's big plan.
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed that they've got two very, very easy fixtures coming up that, like, they kind of have to come through that with wins. But their potential...
So desperate for United to fail. You don't like United.
Well, I don't like having predicted them to be the flops of the year and then they're doing this well.
I was miles on that because I predicted them not to do too well.
I'm not hedging my bets, though, because I have two United players at the same time.
Both.
So, yeah, they're my three players. Let's move on then to our teams for Game Week 3. But before we do that, we're going to do our 1 week wonders, which is where our guest picks 11 players plus some subs that they think will do well in this single game week. We're going to tally them up as the season goes on and see who has the best 1 week wonder team. Last week, Stefan Kurtz, who was our guest for the Game Week 2 preview show, he got 41 points, which was bang on average. He didn't seem too pleased with that, but I think that's because I didn't let him triple captain Aubameyang like he wanted to. He wanted to break the rules. But Amy, who have you picked for our 1 week wonder?
Having just said all that about Man United, I've actually got 2 Man United players in here. So I've got Matt Ryan in net.
Nice.
Kyle Walker-Peters, Harry Maguire, Willy Bowley. So I'm playing 3-4-3. Raheem Sterling, Ndombele. Dan James I've actually got in.
He started, didn't he, against Wolves?
I think Palace just look awful. And with Dan James running at them, like if Sheffield United's overlapping centre-backs can exploit Palace, then Dan James can exploit Palace. Pascal Gross, Aguero, Pukki and Kane up top.
Who are you going to pick as your captain out of that?
There's only one, surely.
Kane, yeah. It's going to have to be Kane. I've got Coleman, Dunk, Stecklenburg and Matinho on the bench.
Nice. Good looking team.
Yeah, bang on 100 mil. So, yeah.
Did you pick your 3 players that you recommended in that? You picked them, didn't you? Yeah,
I have.
Nice.
Because otherwise I'm just going to eat my own words and be like, well, why have I not listened to my own advice? But yeah, I think Southampton look poor. So that's why I've got Matt Ryan in net. Kyle Walker-Peters, Spurs versus Newcastle. Maguire against Palace and Bowley against Burnley should all I'm looking at 3 clean sheets there. Bang on, really.
So how much is Gross?
6.5.
And how much is Coleman?
5.5.
I mean, you've committed to this now. You've said it, so you can't
There's no
change
going
it.
back.
I would have taken Coleman out and just put a 4 million player in there and spent an extra $1 million a bit on Gross or something else.
Yeah.
Not you, Amy. Life would be boring if you were.
I'm going to counter this. So Steph took that tactic last week and invested all of his money in his starting 11. And then one of them didn't play. So one of his
that's his fault.
Crappy subs came in.
Yeah, this is what I'm thinking.
Who did he pick that didn't play?
Haller, the West Ham striker. And he just seemed to disappear.
Yeah.
So this is my thinking in that James started against Wolves. I don't know if Dan James will start again.
Fair point.
Which is why I've picked a half decent bench. Plus, you never know with Man City and Pep and all his rotation nonsense. So
That's true.
You never know.
You had Aguero in there, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, I've got Aguero and Sterling.
And they had a little beef at the end of or towards the end of that match against Tottenham when he took him off.
Yeah, and then Jesus scored and they started hugging again, and then VAR got involved and was like, no, we don't like all these happy scenes. So yeah.
You're not a VAR fan, are you?
No, I'm not a VAR fan.
The VAR's there again. Should we abide by the laws of the game, everyone? Great.
Having put up with it in France at the World Cup this summer, I am not a VAR fan.
Not even this adaptation of it?
No.
I think destroying football.
To be fair, it's not VAR, it's the handball rules and all that kind of nonsense, and the goalkeeper rule, which I think is stupid.
With goalkeeper rules in, you can't come off your line for a penalty.
But like them retaking it when somebody's like an inch off the line is just ridiculous. I
That's
can't
why
deal
they're
with
laws,
it.
Amy.
I can't deal with it. I'm not dealing
I bet
with
you're
it.
the kind of person that speeds as well, aren't you? Yeah,
And Sam likes speed cameras, don't you? Keeps people safe.
you do exactly.
Because people can't be trusted ultimately,
feel
and
like I'm in a hot
that's what's going to happen with referees. Referees can't be trusted to make decisions for themselves, and ultimately, the referees aren't going to get better for VAR. I don't want to get in a massive VAR debate, but they're not going to get.
You've just started it, mate.
I'm starting it, but they're not going to get better for VAR. The referees are going to get worse and more reliant on it. That will be part of the issue, I think, because that's ultimately what always happens with technology.
It's like
just
you
a
when you're
case of-
designing, isn't it? You used to do really, really,
Where are you going with this?
really intricate designs that you'd spend a long time over. Now you just get a picture, put a filter on it, press done.
There's probably a little bit of truth in that in design in general, isn't there? You know, it's like there's templated.
So you're a lazy
Solutions.
designer. I'm a speeding driver. Miles? Anything for Miles?
No, he's doing a good job.
I'm fine, yeah.
No, I think no. My main gripe with that is the handball and the constant going to VAR for the little inch up. There was 3 penalties at the Women's World Cup were stupidly given retakes, and now I'm just it's not happening. I stick with my
You're in the anti-VAR.
yeah, completely. It's
Okay.
just annoying.
We'll see how you feel at the end of the season. Maybe we'll get you back on in a later episode
Yeah, I
to see if
mean-
you've changed.
If VAR wants to win me some penalties for all the players in my team for assists and goals, then I will change my mind. So
Yeah.
if VAR is listening, if he wants to win
Give me
me
some
over,
goals.
you've just heard my team.
Nice one. Thank you,
This
Amy,
one.
for your 1 week wonder team. Best of luck with that. I'll go through my starting 11 then for this week, who I've picked. I've already said I've made the one transfer this week. So the player I've put in is Harry Maguire. Manchester United fame. I think that a clean sheet against Crystal Palace is a no-brainer. I think he'll be a threat as well from set pieces. You know, he seems to be... Man United seem to have adopted the England set piece method, which brought them a lot of good fortune at the World Cup, obviously, last year. He seems to have slotted in a lot quicker and a lot better than I thought he would at United. Same with Wan-Bissaka, really. I was sort of umming and ahhing which of the two to go with. Lean towards Maguire in the end. So he's my one transfer this week. He slotted right into that team alongside Edison, Dean, Dunk, Bowley, Sigurdsson, Tielemans, Sterling, Barkley, Rashford, and Kane. Kane is my captain.
Who did you swap Maguire for? Sorry.
I swapped him for Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Big.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's 1.5 million cheaper. He's probably going to go up in price as well because I reckon a lot of people are throwing him in, especially with these 2 game weeks against Crystal Palace and Southampton now. And I would like to put Trent Alexander-Arnold back in at some point, but they have Arsenal at home now, and Arsenal's attack is good.
Mm-hmm.
And based on Liverpool's defence right now, and the fact they don't have the number 1 goalkeeper, they're not this. He even in a world in which he gets assists and goals, he isn't worth 7 million right now, without clean sheets. I don't think.
With Adrian behind him as well, who, as
Gives-
I've stated previously, is poor. Poor
Yeah.
keeper.
So I've got 2 million in the bank now. I don't know what to do with it, but I've just got 2 million sat there. So it's
What?
nice.
Yeah, I knew you'd jump on this. Okay,
you
yeah,
jump
he
on it?
made a mistake. Let's not pretend Alisson never made any mistakes, okay? Because he did the same thing.
I quite like Adrian.
Adrian also made a couple of blinding saves in that game.
That's what he's paid.
One like
Loads of money
point
to do.
blank header from Yoshida.
That would have been an act of self-preservation rather than trying to stop the goal. As I say, you should have saved the
whatever.
Pukki goal. Liverpool should have had 2 clean sheets if it wasn't for Adrian.
He's set in his ways as Sam here.
He
Anti-Adrian.
is, yeah.
I'm right. So I am set in my ways.
Well, I asked our Liverpool correspondent Neil Jones about Adrian, and he wasn't as damning as you are about him. Let's just say that. And you are a Manchester United fan, so I'm just saying.
Well,
Any excuse to take a pop at a Liverpool player,
but
which you can't do with pretty much any of the other Liverpool players.
having been a amateur standing goalkeeper on at least 8 occasions in my footballing career, I'm paid up member of the
I'm
goalkeepers
qualified.
union. I know what good goalkeeping looks like.
Dave, who have you gone with your team then?
I haven't made any confirmed changes yet. I have just had a little play while we've been talking here, but considering some of Sam's advice, because now and again he does make some good points, I'm thinking about taking Chilwell out, who missed the last match with an injury. He's still got the little hazard sign on him, assuming he's still not looking great. Walker Peters could fit quite nicely in there in his place, on the back of what Sam was saying. So it would be Pickford still in goal, Walker Peters, Van Dijk, Zinchenko. My other defenders are Simpson and Target. who are 4 million and 4.5 million, so they're probably not going to be able to replace.
I think
else,
Target's
don't
dropped.
Is he?
Yeah.
Well, he's dropped on my team. He's sitting on the
he's
bench,
injured, I think.
I mean, his price has dropped. I think it's 4.4 now.
Oh, right, okay.
4.4, yeah. Bernardo Silva, Sterling, Sigurdsson, who I'm going to stick with, even though he's not quite delivered yet. I just really needed something from him last week, but he's another one that a lot of FPL players have in their team, and yeah, come on, Sigurdsson.
Yeah,
deliver.
I'm with you on that one. I need him to start doing something. It's 8 million, burning that hole in my pocket.
He is, yeah.
That is a lot.
But he gets penalties. He scores free kicks. He did really well last season. Like the points total he had was pretty impressive. 182 points.
I do like Sigurdsson. I didn't realise it was 8 mil though. I thought it might be like 7.5. I didn't realise it was 8.
He's getting dropped if he doesn't score this week for me.
I think, yeah.
There's your warning,
Have you
Gilfie.
made any subs then, Dave? You're waiting.
Like I said, I might put Walker Peters in for Chilwell.
What's the price
I'm
difference
thinking
on
of
that?
dropping Tillemans and putting Cantwell in, because that frees up some cash then. And then it almost tempts me into making a minus 4 point transfer and I could even stick Pukki in my forward line. I could take Origi out and put Pukki in.
What's the difference?
That's then two Norwich
between
players.
Kyle Walker-Peters and Chilwell? I would
0.5.
imagine that, yeah, I would have thought.
Yeah, so I made a bit of money back there as well. So I'm going to end up with money in the bank at the end of this week if I.
Like me.
Yeah. So, but then Donker's still in there. Potentially Cantwell comes in for 4.6 million, and then up front, Kane. Come on, Harry.
You're going to captain him as
Bang
well.
some goals this week. Yeah, I might captain him and put Sterling vice captain. And Vardy, stop being offside. Get onside and score goals. Simple.
Solid advice.
Solid advice, yeah. That's what Rodgers should be saying to him. I don't know if he'll take that well or not. Might have to be a bit more careful about how he words it. And Origi's going to have to come out at the moment because he's not going to feature really, is he, for Liverpool?
No.
5.5 million, just going to waste there. So
If you sub out, if you make your changes, bring in Cantwell and Walker-Peters,
yeah,
and then you can upgrade Origi to something decent.
Pukki.
I could put Pukki in.
You're willing to take the hit though. Mars is coming up behind you.
Just for the
eyebrow
listeners,
raise
Miles.
there was totally unnecessary.
Podcast listeners missed out on that little visual
They did,
cue.
yeah. But yeah, that's kind of how my team's taking shape. I haven't committed to anything yet.
Excellent.
I'm gonna have to by the end of today though, realistically.
Sam, who have you gone with?
I have torched my team. I have knee-jerked. I have jumped on as many bandwagons as possible. All because, essentially, I realised I needed to get Raheem Sterling in, and I couldn't do it without making a number of changes, because I wanted to keep Salah in, because he's inevitably going to score 2 or 3 in the next couple of weeks.
I heard that Pep's going to rest Sterling this week.
Did you know? Good
On the
for you.
grapevine.
Good for you. So, I've made 6 changes. Wildcard deployed. So, I've taken Ake out and moved him in for Lundstrom, because he's like 4.1 now, and he's a defender playing in midfield, and he's actually playing. Robertson out. Maguire in. Lucas Moura out. Walker Peters in. Pogba out. Which, just annoys me, the idea of him. Danny Ceballos in. Barkley out. Martial in. Cathcart out. And I've done that wrong way around, but Sterling in.
I'm enjoying this so much, the way he's just totally ripped his team up after all that.
You know what will
No,
be...
you can call it ripping up. I call it iterative improvements. Okay.
You've basically got your team in the dressing room and gone, right, guys,
You're
90% of you are terrible.
Shit. All right.
Yeah.
Shit.
And you've opened the door and Sterling's been stood there and gone, you're going. Yeah.
No. This is shit.
Don't sound confident.
I've got a
there.
little bit of data now, to be able to back it up. I've seen how people are performing this season. I know that this is the way forward. So my starting 11 is Heaton in goal. Yeah.
After all that,
Maybe I should go and look at my keeper. Zinchenko, Maguire, Walker Peters. Boom. A midfield of Ceballos, Martial, Kevin De Bruyne, Mo Salah, Raheem Sterling. Oh, doesn't that sound good? Yeah,
That does sound good.
It does sound
It
good.
does.
And up front, Rashman and Jota. Jota maybe being switched out this afternoon for Pukki, if I can figure a way to get a few more quid.
Yeah, you can still spend away, can't you, through the duration of the game week?
So my bench ain't so hot. It's Kelly from Crystal Palace, Lundstrom, and Jordan Ayew. So
Not strong.
no, but
You're very committed to an 11 there.
and yeah, as you should be.
You have quite a different tactic to me. I always like that flexibility.
Yeah,
I like having
flexibility.
I like having one or two defenders that I can trade out so I can get some extra clean sheets. But I don't profess to be an FPL expert. I never win at this. So.
Nor I.
So maybe your way is the right way.
Well, we'll soon find out.
So you dropped Barkley, I noticed in that there.
Yeah, I was very tempted to put Mount in instead because I thought Mount looked really good. The goal he scored against Leicester, I thought was just a goal that I love to see. Harassment,
Good pressing.
Yeah.
good pressing, and a really tidy finish as well.
Off balance as well.
Yeah.
So, he's obviously Lampard's almost... I think he probably prefers him to his own children.
He just reminds me of Lampard. He's like a young Lampard, isn't he? It's like you
Yeah.
just think, oh, okay, Lampard's coming to Chelsea and gone, I'm just going to bring Mount in and he's going to be what I was in the Chelsea team and then everyone else is going to work around him.
So, yeah, and I know he's young and it's his first season in the Premier League, but I don't think 12, 14 goals is a ridiculous feat, especially when they've got up front what they've got.
He's like the teacher's pet, isn't he, right now at Stamford
Oh,
Bridge? I've stuck with Barkley, A, because I don't want to take the -4 hit for having an extra transfer, but also he didn't play at the weekend and they didn't win. And
He did play the week before.
He
and
did.
got battered.
He did, but they took him off and then they started leaking goals.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking potentially, I don't think at this point that he's dropped him and he won't come back in. I think he's fallen 0.1 in terms of
Yeah.
price on FPL. And so I'm hesitant to just toss him out and sacrifice that if he's going to come back in. They do have some winnable games coming up. They had a tough start to the season with Manchester United and Leicester, whereas now they have Norwich and then Sheffield United. So, winnable.
Yeah, I still think he's a very good player, and I still think there's definite value in there as long as he does keep playing. I think I never sort of accounted for Kante coming back in and obviously going straight in, or Mount being quite as good as he's been.
Yeah, he was a
There's
surprise.
still something in there with Barkley, but with the
I did
midfield
warn you
I've
about
got.
Barkley though, didn't I?
He has got like
I was right.
No,
couple
you were
of
making
shaky
notes
seasons
going,
to
oh, great
shake
point,
off.
Marks and Sam. I might stick
No, I
him
don't
in,
think
actually.
it was. I think I said
it was
he
all
won't deliver.
reverse psychology. He was
Yeah.
tricking you into picking him,
It
and
really-
he's
Yeah,
picked
yeah.
whoever.
See, Amy knows.
Far too
but,
much credit.
You said it was enjoyable seeing him use the wildcard this week, but what would be extra enjoyable is if his team now doesn't do well.
I know, yeah.
I will be the first one to go, right, Fantasy League's cancelled.
Sam has exited this podcast in a tantrum.
They've been ringing up FPL like, oh, can I have another wild card, please?
Yeah.
I didn't
Can I
actually
just have-
use it.
Can I
It
just
was
have 5 more million, please? 5 more million, guys.
Do you know when people like call up Apple and say that their kid has been buying stuff on the App Store? But like, it was my kid that used the wild card,
Yeah.
wasn't me. Give
My
me
kid
another
picked
one.
the team
That's a shower.
first 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, he was watching YouTube Kids.
I meant
but
to
then
put Sterling in. Can I have his points retrospectively?
and Pukki the week after.
Anybody who
What
scored a hat trick, oh, he did. Oh, I picked him. I swear.
It was a bug in the game. A glitch.
There was a glitch, wasn't there, on the game, on the Android app?
there?
Yeah, which allowed people to make unlimited transfers.
And you didn't tell me this.
No. And what happened is,
Keeping it
but
to
the
yourself.
thing is, though, everyone went in and started making loads of transfers. I haven't got an Android, so obviously I didn't, and I wouldn't have been aware of it anyway. But yeah, they made those transfers. But since they've fixed the app, they're now taking the points off people for those extra transfers.
Okay.
So loads of people are playing the wild cards this week.
Aha.
Mm.
Good. Justice.
That's what you get for cheating.
Justice.
So, yeah, justice. Yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting turn of events
Mm.
It's almost
in
like
the
VAR
FPL world.
coming to the rescue again.
FPL VAR. Excellent. All right, let's wrap this up then. Dave, Sam, Amy, thank you very much for joining us today. Listeners, you can get in touch by tweeting your fantasy football thoughts with the hashtag UKFFS. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple, follow on Spotify, or however you listen to podcasts on your favourite platform. Leave a review if you liked it, and if you didn't, what are you still doing here? Check out Goal for your daily dose of football news from the Premier League and around the world. Thanks for listening.